What does it take to get into an elite business school? MBA Crystal Ball is a boutique admissions consulting firm. Each year, we help a select few applicants get into the world's best business schools. Here's one of our success stories to inspire and educate.
Hello and welcome to MBA Crystal Ball's YouTube channel. Today we have with us Raghavendra, an ambitious Googler who has gotten into the dream university for every engineer, MIT, for their Sloan Fellows program. Welcome, Raghavendra.
Hey, hi Manish. Good to see you back again.
I know. Thanks so much for doing this, Raghavendra. To get things started, if you could tell us our viewers, a bit about yourself. What kind of qualifications did you have?
Yeah, sure. So I'm born and brought up in a village in Andhra. So my father has been a farmer, but has always been pushing boundaries to innovate things in his own space. He was an inspiration for me for quite some time. So I've done my bachelor's in engineering from the college called Geetham College of Engineering from Vizag, where I've done in electronics and communication engineering. Post that, I've worked at a couple of places, like primarily at Accenture, and then I decided to pursue masters. I got fascinated with the technology while I was working, and I thought like masters would really help me. Then I prepped for GATE and kind of got an admission at IIT Kharagpur for specialization primarily in computer vision, image processing, and machine learning domain. So there I was there for a couple of years doing my master's, doing my thesis in this domain, and specialized there. Yeah.
Got it. And, so I think also to give us a sense of your professional journey, I think what many viewers would find interesting is you did a startup back when, they were not quote unquote hot. So tell us, how did that come through? What was that experience like?
Yeah. So, I mean, my father was always an inspiration to, as I said, right? I mean, keep innovating, keep doing stuff, right? So, after my master's, I worked at Samsung and, a startup called VisExpert, where I was deep into deep tech computer vision problems I was solving there. But when 2014, when the startups were just starting, e-commerce was just booming, we identified a problem, which was significantly high return rates were there. A lot of people were returning for reasons like, what I see is not what I'm getting. So during my master's thesis, I built this tech, which is a laser scanner to build 3D data. So me, a couple of friends from IIT Kharagpur, we felt, hey, this is a problem and this is the solution, what we can do. And we started with that journey. So we got funded and, we got our first clients, Urban Ladder and Fab Furnish, the furniture domain, where, they were also just starting and they had this problem of, returning and shipping and returning furniture is very expensive business, right? So our solution fit right into the problem and, it was optimizing their costs very well. So we started with that, but eventually we realized like, the bigger challenge is not just the furniture domain, it's real estate. Reason being, like furniture can still come to your house and you can send back. But all of us, when we are buying house or renting house, it can never come to us, right? We always go there to visit, and there's so much of time invested by everybody. So we thought, the 3D tech, what I built for this domain, can we reuse for real estate? That's when we pivoted. And we realized, like, a furniture model is about 5 MB size, like when you scan, but when a real estate, if you scan, it's about 600 MB, 700 MB. Back those days were like, 3G era, and the hardware, what we have are also very less, right? 2014. So you have to download like a movie first and then watch it. So not possible. So we had to go back to the drawing board and reinvent all the capturing and visualization algorithm. And we kind of got everything down to less than 5 MB size, load size. So which was our Eureka moment. So with that, we were able to kind of launch a product in real estate, and then it went pretty well overall in Delhi NCR market, and we captured good market in all the real estate developers there. So that was kind of very fascinating thing. As I said, like keep pushing things to kind of solve problems was one thing which I've been running behind.
Yeah. So not only successful as an entrepreneur, you also had a successful exit. As you told me. Then how did that, from there, how did you make it to Google, and especially, tell us how the process was, when you were recruiting or interviewing with Google?
Yeah, I mean, one thing what I've learned through my startup journey is basically like I'm very good myself personally in building something from zero to one, right? I mean, be it products, be it teams or solutions from zero to one, I've done pretty well, and which is what, as you rightly said, like, no, we've built at a startup. one realization during my startup journey is like, if you want to build a sustainable company which can stay, longer than you want, right? So then that's when I realized like, going from that 1 to 100 journey is very different compared to 0 to 1 journey, right? So that's where I've realized, I think, I need a lot different skill set to kind of, start something, but kind of, make it sustainable, continuously running machine, right? So then I felt like, why reinvent the wheel myself? A lot of companies solve this problem already, like Google's or Amazon's or all of this. Why not get back to the corporate and, maybe learn from there, how people are scaling things up, be it, people, organizations, technologies, all of it. So that's when I kind of, went back to the corporate to kind of, to start my journey. And definitely moving from startup to corporate is not an easy shift, because like, there's a lot of unlearning you have to do. And especially the interview process is meticulous, especially for places like Google or the prior company Expedia. I also worked there. So it's importantly, you really need to kind of, get brush your skills and kind of, Google's interview is definitely very tedious. It's very elaborate. It goes deep technical. So I had to brush my skills back again, and, go for it. Thankfully, with all the hard work, it kind of turned out well.
Yeah, and it's notorious. Google. One reads on social media that people had like umpteen number of rounds. I mean, so did you also experience like multiple rounds? How many rounds? And how long was the process?
Definitely. I mean, Google processes, it takes it needs a lot of patience from you. Reason being, like, they take very elaborate process. They start with 5 rounds, so scattered not on the same day, but, spread across. And if they are fully satisfied, they say they will either reject you or accept you, or else they say we'll take another 3 rounds more. Right. So I had roughly 7 to 8 rounds, somewhere like that. And the process was entirely 6 months period. It's spread around in 6 months entirety. And I remember, like, after me joining in, I was talking to some of the new joinees back then. All of them had similar time frame, and some of them, like, literally got other offers from other companies in between, because they're much shorter, joined, and then had to change back to Google once they got the offer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely notorious, but it's all worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the dream job for many engineers. You had made it. So then what prompted you to kind of look at an MBA a few years down the line? How did you kind of go about that decision making?
Yeah, I think it's been like close to 4 years now at Google for me. Like, I've been at the cutting edge in terms of, solving problems, or, scaling technologies, because, like, Google is a planet scale company. It's
Correct.
huge, right? The scale part of it, I was able to kind of, see. And the people aspect also, like, I mean, people at Google are amazing. Like, as the rigorous, recruiting process itself signifies that they keep the bar very high. And I got to work with really, really great people, right? One thing which, with this 4 year journey, I was able to achieve is definitely is able to understand some of the execution level scaling aspects and all of that. But for me to kind of, to get to my, long term goal of, hey, how can I set up a company which can kind of, stand and, sustainably be there for long time? The process what I've chosen right now is a lengthy, long road. Like, I mean, for me to start at a mid-level senior manager, and then keep growing to learn all of the strategic aspects of it. Then, I did meet some mentors at Google, like, who have taken similar journey. Like, someone who has gone to Harvard and kind of, has kind of, how their career accelerated post that, and the kind of thought process change and mind shift they had, that kind of inspired me start thinking, okay, I mean, if I have to kind of make my path faster to my long term vision, what are the routes? And definitely, this was one of the route which very clearly showed my path to get to my destination.
Got it. Got it. And so what kind of schools did you shortlist? Why did you do that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think, there are a lot of schools in US which are amazing schools, but most of them cater to a different kind of experiences and different, kind of, cohorts. Especially for me, for example, I'm like close to 15 years of experience in industry. Through my mentor only, as I said, like, there is one unique program which is very right fit for people of like significant experience who has done like, really, really amazing stuff, but they are looking for a complete different scale up in their journey, right? So this program is called Sloan Fellows Program. So this is a program which was started by MIT back in 1960s. It's primarily kind of, given by three schools only in the world: Stanford, MIT, and London Business School. These three schools provide this program, which is like 1 year full-time intensive time for all these seasoned executives, where you can kind of transform yourself completely. So that is a program which I've applied to, which was right fit for me as compared to many other programs which are there, which are 1 year full time. But I applied for Stanford and also MIT primarily because London Business School, the dates are a little different. So yeah, both of them I kind of worked through and applied, and thankfully MIT did happen
Right.
through the
Right.
process.
Yeah, and you also made another interesting choice of doing the EA, the executive assessment, instead of the GMAT or the GRE. Give us a little more insight into, again, why did you pick that, and how did you prepare, and what was your score?
Yeah, I think uh, GMAT and EA from the preparation standpoint, they're exactly same. I mean, you have to prepare the exact syllabus for both EA and GMAT. When I started with GMAT prep only, like it's definitely equally notorious like Google, right? I mean, it's a very long exam, right? So I did take some sample tests and all of that. It's a very long exam. That's when I came across through friends and some of the past students, I know an alternative to GMAT. There is this exam called Executive Assessment, which is usually accepted by many schools in US. And the primary goal for executive assessment is for slightly senior folks who have lot more experience than the regular MBA programs. So this is primarily like they test the same skills, but in a limited, reduced time window. Like for example, EA is just like 1.5 hour exam rather than GMAT or the new GMAT, which is much longer, right? So where the syllabus is exactly same. So I prepped for the same GMAT material, all of it the same. But the time window was just 1.5 hour. I took an online exam, and I did prepare well. Especially I gave like 3 months time frame to preparation to for the whole syllabus of GMAT. But the online exam, I gave it in my first attempt only. I got about 157 score in the EA, which is decent enough score to kind of apply to these schools.
Got it. And so you prepared with, is there like an official guide, or did you take any online courses? What kind of preparation went into it?
Yeah, so I kind of started with the official guide, the GMAT official guide, and EA also there are other materials, like
Yeah,
where official EA material is also
right.
there. So I did go through that. Other than that, primarily, I practiced a lot of question doing, and sample tests. I had to prep a lot to kind of time bound my practice and all of that. So one was like course practice, where keep practicing questions randomly, concepts and all of that. One is fine grain practice, where you time bound yourself and do
Yeah,
practice tests. uh Definitely like GMAT club will help a bit there, like lot of material
good.
is available. Post that, just focusly give your attempt.
Right. Awesome. And so, you were done with the test, then, tell us, how did you go about your applications? Why were you looking at consultants? How did you discover MBA Crystal Ball? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing I've kind of always uh, I'm good at analytical things. Like I'm very good at my story. For especially all these applications need to write a lot of essays, especially for somebody who's seasoned like me, like for 14, 15 years experience. There's a lot of content, a lot of examples, so much of data, what has happened in 15 years, and trying to figure out the right examples which would, which you want to highlight in your essays was slightly, I was going in circles, like, like especially like choosing the right school. What are the right stories for right school, so that you can highlight which ones, right? So that's when I was exploring, and I similarly spoke to some of the past students and all of that. MBA Crystal Ball, definitely, like I've been following MBA Crystal Ball on YouTube and other places. Like I love a lot of Samir's videos, right? On YouTube. So for a couple of years, and thankfully, the reinforcement came from one of the current students at Stanford, where they use the surveys and they strongly recommended. So that's when I decided, I reached out to Manish, like, asking, can you folks help me with this? I have this story, but how would this? I also remember, like, when we started, Manish asked me, like, hey, can you just write down what's your story? I mean, I literally wrote, I remember 10 pages of, write up. From there to getting to the very short 200 words or 500 words or whatever limitations was a journey where, thanks to Manish, where you kind of helped me a lot.
Okay, so yeah, tell us about how the interview experience was and anything, if you kind of vividly remember even today.
Yeah. So after me submitting the application process, like, I got an interview call from MIT. Definitely, I've done a lot of interviews before, like, for corporate jobs or other areas like with VCs and all. But an MBA interview was the first time for me, and the experience is definitely experience and the expectations are very different, right? And it's a very short interview where you really need to present yourself. So that's where I initially was in dilemma, like, should I just go ahead and do myself, or maybe take some help from Manish back again. So thankfully Manish kind of did support me, guiding me, how to kind of prepare and concisely narrate myself, my answers and all of that. And with that, primarily the questions were behavioral in nature. It's talking about your experiences and how you rightly fit for the program and the university, and they're around those only, standard behavioral questions only. But sometimes, some questions would be notorious, like you really need to know your application very well. Some questions would be very focused on your application. You may get a googly here and there, like where you should remember where did you use something, where did you tell something. So, and build the same story back again, because it's your application, you'll know it, but just reading it thoroughly, would help you, because like sometimes you would use some words or sentences which the question may land on them, right? That was one interesting learning during my interview, where I felt like, but thankfully I did prepare well with the suggestions from Manish, so I was able to answer all of them well.
Right. And, so then you got the result, but there were nervous moments. It took a while. So walk us through what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, quite a journey, I mean, especially my case was like I got waitlisted in the beginning.
Yeah.
I applied in R1. End of R1 results, I got this result called waitlist. I was so surprised. I mean, I was very confident I'll get through. Then I got waitlisted, and I was very confused whether should I, like, maybe like leave it and move forward, do something else, or or do something. So one thing which really helped me was like talking to a lot of people. So especially, I after the waitlist, I met so many current students and past students, and this is pretty common. Colleges like these kind of, because of the diverse cohort they wanna maintain. You have limited number of seats for your, for your the cohort or the section in your this thing. So what would happen is, like, even though your profile is really good, there are hardly one, two, three positions what they have to fill. So they'll
Yeah.
they'll kind of hold you. So that kind of, I got these insights from current students and past students. And also another very important aspect, what I would my learnings and I would want to share is, so all universities, I'm hoping, like, MIT gives this opportunity to kind of write back in during this time when you're in waitlist, like, what progresses have happened, and what are the things if you think are missed during application time. So one thing I've helped me a lot is, like, I kind of shared my essays with some of the existing or previous students to look at, hey, do you think, like, what makes sense, like, do you think anything else I should add? So some good feedback has come in, like people really loved the profile and my essays. One area where they suggested was, like, hey, why MIT, why you want to do an MBA and why MIT now, is something, one area they've suggested, like, I can focus more in my update essays. So that helped a lot. And also I was in touch with so many people, understanding the process, and also getting recommendations is important. Further recommendations you can give during this period. So it was quite an exercise, and I was able to kind of, definitely kind of, it's a waiting is no good situation for sure,
Yeah.
but it's all worth it when you put that effort, and the result comes out to be positive.
Yeah. I mean, I think the victory, I'm sure sounds or smells, even sweeter. So just to kind of summarize, you said three things, right? I mean, from a waitlist perspective, one is networking, talking to people. Second is updates. I mean, did you do one update? Did you do multiple updates?
So I did one update. So primarily the recommendation what I got is don't do too many.
Yeah.
Do one or two. Given the time frame, what I had was very less. So updates should be meaningful. Else, like they may feel you're bugging them a lot. So that's the reason for my situation. One was appropriate, but 1 to 2 is a good number, is what I've learned through the process.
Right. Got it. Okay, perfect. Excellent. That's great. And all the best with your MBA experience, Raghavendra. And we hope to see more startups coming from you in the future.
Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you so much for all the support I got through this.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for doing that. You take care.
We hope you found this interview helpful. At MBA Crystal Ball, we've helped many applicants get into the elite business schools, often with scholarships. Reach out if you're looking for professional help with your applications. Good luck.